Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks. Today I've got a two-part Pro 4v4 series on Forge version 1.4 for you today. This is going to be an exciting match spawning here on our eastern side. The Reds, composed of Saddam, RTX, Zydeco, and Sarmad. On our western half, the Blues, Corex Novea, Zero Renegade, Slyfox 7, and Cray. Going to be opposing our red team here. Let me wipe that map clean for you guys as we get right into this exciting match between these two. Now, I've been addicted to the pro level 4v4s recently. I've been spectating a ton of these. I have so many replays I want to get through and just not enough time. So if you sent one of your replays in to Brightworks Replays, that's Brightworks Replays at gmail.com. Just like that. If you sent a replay in there and you're waiting for it to be cast, I will get to it eventually, but I do have a quite tall plate, so stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe, by the way, if you want to see those come out eventually. I will get to them sometime or another. Forge, let's talk about the map here. Very, very high metal. You can see that each one of these dots down here is 4.5 metal per extractor. So we're going to see a huge amount of metal income for especially these lower two players for the red team here. What was that was cute? Oh, wow. That's quite a collector's queue. Very, very interesting. I think one circle would have been fine here and here. Anywho, the entire blue team has spawned in this lower area, so they're going to get these high-value metal mexes extremely quickly, and I think they're worth a lot more than these ones up here. Yeah, 2.1 for these higher ones. So basically, more or less a 3-to-1 metal extractor ratio down here. So I like these spawns a whole lot better for the blue team. They're going to be able to pump out units a lot quicker. They're going to be able to go for vehicles if they want. Yeah, we do see vehicles coming out here for Zero Renegade and Slyfox. And yeah, bots on either side. So very symmetric. I do like to see that. Also symmetric with the faction players here. We have 2 Cortex and 2 Armada. Very neat, very organized. Here we see 2 Cortex here, down in the bottom. We see Armada on the very, very bottom, and Cortex up north. So only one Armada player on the eastern side here for the Reds. So if there's any ticks, if there's any scouts like that, they should have come out of Sarmad, although he's a bit late for that. Sarmad finally getting down here to build up some structures, although it looks like he is not queuing his commander to do anything. I would love to see that commander push up, build some light laser turrets, fortify this area, stop them from claiming this metal extractor if they can, make sure that he's protecting his teammates. And already we're seeing a ton of units being pumped out and shoved past RTX's defenses here. That is a devastating amount of grunts. We're going to see some very early aggression. I love that about these 4v4s. They get aggressive so fast. Yeah, these pawns, or rather these grunts are going to be, well, they're deterred by a few grunts coming out of this lab, but the defensive advantage is high. Of course, reinforcing units are going to be able to join the red army a lot quicker than the green, who is officially cut off with these forces from pink. Zero Renegade, focused mainly on just turtling up this defensive area here. Going to make sure that some light laser turrets go up to deny any expansion in the meantime, so that RTX cannot get as big of a foothold. Zydeco moving forward here and putting down a vehicle lab. Low on energy, so I'd love to see him start to go for some of these, what are they called? The thermal expansion areas, the thermal generators, geothermal plants. I think that would be phenomenal. It's definitely a very efficient way of getting quite a lot of energy out. Sarmad, a little bit of trouble here, although I think with the light laser turret, he should be fine. Yeah, 76% on that commander. So it took him down about a quarter. Definitely not going to be game ending. Grunts here, grunt versus grunt, leaving quite a lot of wreckages on the field. Okay. Oh, we're rezzing them actually. I was going to say reclaim them, but actually rezzing them makes a lot of sense. Since there's already so much metal on the map, you don't really need to go around pulling a little bit more out of wreckages. Probably better to have those units on the front line. It's actually a really good strategic decision from RTX here. Now at the bottom we do see forces mounting. See a few missile trucks coming out, as well as these Januses. Ooh, and those Januses hurt so bad. Yeah, just a devastating unit for sure. They snipe that grunt. Yeah, that hurts. Those missile trucks are value over time, right? They don't do a ton of damage every shot that they take, but they tickle away at this army, and if you're not careful, after a while, your army starts to disappear. So they can definitely be very, very powerful as a harassment unit. You have to make sure that you have the units to support them, though. That's the caveat. Yeah, we see them being used to mainly push back the artillery piece, also firing on their own missile truck counterpart there. Very nice, and we've established the front lines. Now, there's a pretty big army here. That's a lot of flashes. Yeah, it looks like he's going to go for it. I think that's the right decision. He realizes, oh, this wasn't built. Maybe you could push through there. Decides better of it. And yeah, RTX going for that forward vehicle lab. It's not a bad idea, but it's definitely risky. Right? If he gets pushed, that's going to be a bit of a problem if he loses his production. Meanwhile, Sarmad down here with pawns pushing forward and managing to get pretty good effect out, actually. Managing to take down a lot of those grunts. There's an artillery thing firing. It's the Wolverine from over here. It's been firing down, almost hitting Sarmad's own units, so gotta be careful about that. Does Sarmad see the heavy laser turret there? It's hard to tell. We've got dual heavy laser turrets coming up, so we're definitely going to want to shut those down as well as we can. Yeah, looking like we're basically going to turtle. Now, for the most part, RTX's forces have been destroyed. It looks like flashes. Gosh, I always get that wrong. Blitzes. The blitzes have pushed through, and they actually find the production facility back here for RTX. RTX in quite a bit of trouble as these blitzes make it into his backline, but there's also a whole bunch of these grunts pushing through as well. They're going to catch a bunch of constructors. That's really painful. Really don't want to be losing those. And they're going to be stuck in this backline. No reinforcements, but they're probably going to be able to get quite a bit of damage out. The bot lab does go down, so no more bot production back there. It's going to be very difficult to clean that up. And we do see the green grunts pushing through. Very, very devastating. Mostly a stagnation here. A lot of forces pushing against each other. They're all puffing their chest, putting their chest out, saying, "Oh ho, we're the better defense." No, we're the better defense. Nobody wants to admit that they probably both have a failing defense here. And it looks like, for the most part, a whole lot of these blitzes are going to be. Man, it's still just ravaging this back line. Yeah, absolutely devastating back there. Commander goes down. Was that a trade or was that a snipe? I think that might have been a snipe, actually. Although, I don't see RTX's... Oh, RTX's commander over here. Yeah, so I guess it was a snipe. I'm not sure what units that actually was sniped with by RTX, but presumably it was something devastating. We do see a whole bunch more grunts pushing through there. And yeah, that is most of Red's economy taken out now. We're down to 1 metal extractor, producing 2 metal a second here. Virtually no energy, so we don't have the energy to power that. Things are looking pretty dire for the Eastern team here. All of these grunts, I mean, there's not really a great response to these, right? You can make the pounders; those are really good, but they can only move so fast and they only fire so quickly. So without them in the exact right position, they're not really going to be able to help very much. And indeed, the grunts just decide to run around. I think that's a good decision here from Corax Novea. A player I haven't seen very often. In fact, I think this was the first series I've ever seen them. But they did a tremendous job of making sure that their lane keeps getting pushed whenever it was open and available. The grunts get through and they're going to start harassing Yellow to death. At this point, RTX is definitely in quite a bit of trouble, building some forward solar panels, but no more metal production. See, his last metal extractor was destroyed, and he can't really hold on to his lane anymore, meaning that his teammates are also exposed in the rear. Never a good position to be in. See Sarmad with a booming economy, a blossoming economy, but unfortunately, his entire middle section has been wiped off the face of the map. Sarmad in quite a bit of trouble here. Taking hits from these gauntlets, down to 5%, very, very low. There's so many forces pushing forward. Looks like the vehicle lab here was destroyed as well. And that means that this area is going to be virtually exposed. Not virtually exposed. What am I saying? It is completely exposed. There's no defenses here. Yeah, Zara Renegade says, push here, Sly. Yeah, there's a whole open lane to get back here. There's basically no army left for Zydeco. I mean, I think this game is over. Unless either Sarmat or Saddam can push through and get some sort of miracle play here, I don't think there's much more that this team can do. And indeed, they do resign. Yeah, I don't blame them. I think they lost the lead there in the middle, and they lost the metal advantage, and there was just too much army that was being pumped out here. Very, very quick T1 game. We'll take a look at the graphs, and then we'll jump right into game number 2. Very nice. Alrighty, and welcome back to the second game of the series. Turn the music back up here. I do like having that in the background. Now, we have the second part of this matchup. On the eastern side here, we have the Reds, featuring the same team, RTX, Saddam, Sarmat, and Zydeco, although in slightly different positions. Instead of spawning in the back lane, they're actually all spawning up front. I think that's a great idea. On the western team, we have the Blues. We have Corax Novea, Zero Renegade, Slyfox, and Cray. Now, instead of putting all 4 on the front, they've decided that Corax will go in the back line here, and Zero Renegade, Slyfox, and Cray will all take frontline positions here. So, Zero Renegade is going to be up against a 2 versus 1, so he's going to have a bit of work cut out for him. But I also think Corax Novea they're in a good position to help out, so they can come down from the top here and help with pushing back RTX's forces as they stomp through the top area of this map. Now we have, as far as lineups go, bot labs, bot labs, bot labs, and more bot labs for our eastern team. A lot of bots. For our western team, we have bot, vehicle, vehicle, vehicle. Interesting. Okay. So we're going to see a bit of a mix and matching of strategies here. We're going to see a couple vehicles coming out from the western team here, the Blues. And we're going to see a lot more bots. I mean, all bots coming out of the eastern team there. So hopefully we see some interesting exchanges go on there. We do have to account for the metal difference between bots and vehicles. Of course, you can get quite a few more bots out than you can vehicles, but the vehicles are quite a bit more sturdy. So who's to say how that's going to work out here on this heavy metal map? I think I favor the vehicles a little bit more. It's also very flat, so the vehicles have a nice terrain to cover. But I don't hate the bots at all. I think you just have to be aware of the fact that you need to produce quite a lot of them. I'd love to see that. We've got some early rascals coming out here, harassing these players. I think it's a great idea, and it's especially great because every mech's down here, if you skip to the second game for some reason, every mech's here, 4.5, so every single mech's down here is extremely valuable. So sniping 1 or 2 of those is actually a tremendous play, and it's a huge hit to the economy, especially early game for these players. Cray pushing forward here. I like this position quite a lot. I think securing some extra metal extractors is going to be very nice. Expanding that infrastructure is probably a good idea. Maybe start up a construction turret. So we're going for medium laser turret. Okay, not bad. Love to see Cray pushing forward here. I think that'd be a nice way to secure a bit of an advantage. Start setting up a laser defense along this line here. Going to go for the metal extractor first. Not terrible, but it will slow him down a little bit. RTX, probably fed up from the last game, has built his own bot lab and building his own grunts. And Corax Novea moving down the ramp here. So we've got 2 constructor bots out. Constructor vehicles out, I should say. Going to be fortifying a little bit. You know, I'd rather see this commander push down here and start fortifying this area. But maybe there's a plan here. Maybe we're going for air. Maybe we're doing something like that. Should be very interesting to see. Now Zydeco, content with his economy and just pumping out as many bots as he can. You know, I really don't hate it. I think more stuff beats less stuff, as the adage goes, as the ancient wisdom teaches. This rascal just taking a look-see, being a little peeping Tom. keeping its eyes on everything that's going down. Does find a constructor. There are guards nearby, but the guards do not care. Yeah, snipe it, why not? Oh, the guards notice. Run away, little rascal. No, he gets blown up. Leaves behind only 6 metal to mark its presence in the world. Zero Renegade says, they're not playing this time. They sure are not. They're taking it much more seriously in the second game, and it looks like they want to make it go the distance. Ooh, these Janices. They do so much damage. They can only shoot every once in a while, but when they do, your army disappears. Poof. Now, they are very vulnerable when they're on that cooldown. So you do have to make sure you keep them alive as well as you can. RTX now up here. Realizes he needs a little bit more metal to fund everything. So he starts up some metal extractors. Yeah, I like to see that. Definitely going to be necessary. What are they talking about in chat here? Corex Novea said same to no one. Having a bit of a moment there, I suppose. I'm surprised with how few geothermal plants we're seeing come out here. Those are so efficient. Here we've got one. If I remind you of the efficiency here, we're looking at less than twice the cost of a solar collector for 300 energy. So 2 solar collectors would give you 150 energy, whereas 1 geothermal plant, which would be the cost of 2 advanced solar panels. I guess it's a little cheaper than 2 solar panels. And it gives you 300 energy. So crazy efficient energy source, especially for that early game. It's going to give Sarmat a huge advantage here. He's going to be able to pump out bots. He's actually going to be able to use all that metal that he's incoming, which is going to be quite nice. Zydeco has done a good job of fortifying this front line, building some laser turrets, putting his commander up here, building the metal extractors, getting all those juicy resources, making sure that this game goes the distance. You see most of RTX's army dissolving here. Would have loved to see a D-gun. I think that would have been great. Yeah, we're building laser turrets. We're trying to fend off the horde here. And they're realizing, maybe those vehicles are pretty powerful. RTX setting up more and more light laser turrets, trying to make sure that no bots, or no vehicles rather, can sneak past here. Corex Novea now. What's his economy look like? 33. That's quite respectable. He actually doesn't have the metal, or rather the build power to spend his resources here. So I think a build turret would be well warranted. Wouldn't hate to see a construction vehicle coming around to do that. Only really need one going around building mexes, so maybe send one of these home. Zero Renegade, turtling up quite nicely up here, just making sure that nobody can push through. We've got the Overwatch, we've got the light laser turrets, we've got construction turrets, all that good stuff. This line is a bit more pushed forward. Zydeco had a little bit of a disadvantage here. Looks like a few units have managed to run past. Sarmat, mostly going for economy. We can see that he's up to 2 of these geothermal plants by now, which is very nice. He's building the energy converters, but I don't think you really need it. I think you really want to just pump out units. Yeah, get those maces going. Get those up to the front lines, and you're going to be in a nice advantage. Especially considering that none of the geothermals back here have been taken by this team. In fact, no geothermals have been taken by this team. Yeah. Get those geothermals, guys. They're very efficient. It doesn't seem like it, because it seems like they're very expensive compared to the T1 economy. But they are phenomenally good. Extremely efficient. A little bit of pawns here. Oh, with those Janices. They would wipe those pawns off the face of the earth. Yeah, that's all she wrote. The maces, a bit stronger, a bit sturdier. Able to put out a little more DACA. I do like to see that. See this one missile turret, or rather missile truck, firing away here. Trying its best to fire away here anyway. Again, these are value over time, right? So every time that this fires, it gets a little bit of value. And so you really need it firing all the time in the back line, not taking damage out here on the front line, going down to artillery fire. It's definitely less efficient. Oh, I managed just to snipe a mech. I don't think it was even aiming for that. I think it was aiming for that grunt over there. Quite a nice little force of incisors and brutes and some wolverines for artillery support there. That's pretty nice. This Overwatch doing a bad job at the moment, actually. Doesn't have enough energy to fire, and 0% on this laser turret. What are we looking at? 5 health? Yeah, you could sneeze in that thing's direction and you'd probably kill it, but I guess there's no sneezing happening today. Zero Renegade, I really think you should go for these geothermal plants here. They're so much better than this T1 solar. You've got the metal. You just need to put the energy in. Oh, look at that. He realizes it. Yeah, get one of those bad boys up. Get 3 of those bad boys up. Get that energy up, and you're going to have so many more units. Your defenses will be able to fire. You're just going to have a lovely time overall. do see some of these Januses pushing forward. They're a great unit to push forward, launch their missiles, and as soon as they launch their missiles, you pull them back. Sending a sacrificial pawn forward. Oh, and it works. All of them waste their missiles right there. And then the army moves forward. That was a great decision. Great strategy right there. Weren't quite fast enough, so the missiles recharge. But yeah, I see exactly what he's doing there. He's baiting out the missiles with a single pawn, and then moving his units forward. That pawn was obliterated by artillery fire. Centurion here, hoping to soak up some of these shots maybe. Now, you know I love a concave more than a convex, but I think there's enough units here that it doesn't really matter. Yeah, they realize, wait, these are just laser trucks? Or, sorry, lasher trucks? This is, surprisingly less defense than I would have imagined. Oh, the pounder comes out, though, and it does a tremendous amount of damage. Look at that. The AoE on that thing just blows those things apart. The pounder is the Cortex equivalent to the Armada Janus, so it's meant for dealing with those grunt units. But we do have a T2 lab out by Sarmat, actually, so that's what he's been doing this whole time. He's actually been teching up to that T2 economy. Very, very nice. Now, I must have missed it, but it looks like Zera Renegade pushed through and destroyed most of Saddam's base. Or was that RTX, actually? I think it was RTX, sorry. Destroyed most of RTX's base, left him with very little in the way of things. He's got a few constructors left, one building some windmills and the rest of them cowering for their lives. And he's got some metal extractors back here too, but it looks like that's basically it. And now Green has an all-access pass to the back line of the Eastern team. And yeah, the Eastern team. Yeah, I think that might actually be game. That might be enough pressure to get a wraparound on the economy structures for the Eastern team. Shut them down. Now this is looking dangerous. There's so many of these thugs out. There's so many Januses. There's Overwatches, tons of these laser turrets and stuff. Yeah, absolutely devastating force here. See the pawns moving forward. This is where it's difficult to pull the trigger, right? Because there's so many of those Januses. You want to bait out their shots, but also there's enough of them that they recharge quickly. Yeah, they put in so much work. Even against those T2 bots, they really can be quite devastating. Their AoE is basically full damage all the way out to the outside of the AoE. So they can be quite a pain to deal with. Especially if you don't move your units. Dealing with something in the back line, I see. Yeah, Zera Renegade not hesitating at all to push past the weak point that he generated and get into the back line of his enemy's production, ruining all of the production facilities so there will be no more reinforcements for Sarmat. These geothermal plants go up in smoke. And will we see the last one go down here? We will indeed. The commander left the burning husk of what once was a base. And I think that is all she wrote. What a phenomenal play by Zera Renegade, getting those blitzes in where they needed to go, tearing down RTX's base. It's quite an accomplishment. RTX is a very, very good player. But I think he found the weak point and he exploited it properly. And after that, there was nothing much that the Eastern team could do. Not a lot you can do to hold on against that. We do see more units coming out here from Zydeco, doing his best to hold the line, but at this point it's sort of futile with all of these units moving around in the back line here. Looks like our orange player here has decided to tap out. Always a bit weird about how you go about resigning in these team games. Do you call it a resign vote? Do you just resign whenever you feel like you're ready? I mean, RTX has been out of this game forever, but he's still here. Like, what do you do about that? Let me know down in the comments what you think you should do about that in these team games. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Love to have you join our community here, and I hope you enjoyed these 2 pro level 4v4 games.